Now, our final trophy, Scrip Lifetime Achievement Award. And this award is sponsored by ICON, a global provider of drug development solutions. And to make the presentation, please welcome to the stage from ICON, Andrew Garrett, EVP Scientific Operations, ICON Clinical Research Services. Thank you, Andrew.
Hi, everybody. An expert in antibody engineering, the Lifetime Achievement Award recipient has been part of the team contributing to the discovery and development of a number of antibody drugs, including the world's best-selling product, Humira, and the first lupus therapy in 50 years, Benlysta. After obtaining a first-class degree in natural sciences from the University of Cambridge, she completed a PhD at John Innes Centre for Plant Science Research in Norwich. This was followed by a postdoctoral position at Rutgers University in New Jersey, before a move into medical research through a postdoctoral fellowship at Addenbrooke's Hospital in Cambridge. In 1993, she joined Cambridge Antibody Technology, which was acquired by AstraZeneca in 2006 and merged into MedImmune a year later to form AstraZeneca's biologics arm. She worked there initially developing the technology, then across many therapeutic areas, and led a number of global teams focused on the development of antibody therapies. She's recently moved back to smaller biotech and is now chair of the cell therapy company Mogrify and CSO of Alchimab, a new company focused on self-protective antibodies. She's chair of the Bioindustry Association, a director of Abraham Bioscience Technologies, a director of Cambridge Enterprise, and has presented at a number of parliamentary select committees. She's also committed to supporting the development of the UK biotech sector and is passionate about STEM education and encouraging women in science. And earlier this year, she was awarded an OBE in the Queen's Birthday Honours for services to human monoclonal antibody drug R&D and biotechnology. It's our great privilege to bestow the 2019 Scrip Lifetime Achievement Award to Jane Osborne.
Do you wanna go?
Please welcome to the stage, Jane Osborne.
Impossible comes true, taking over you. We light it up, we won't come down. And the sun can't stop us now. Watching it come true, it's taking over you. This is the greatest show. Colossal we come, these renegades in the ring.
Well, so firstly, huge thank you. It's a really great honour to receive this award. Thank you to the judges, the sponsors, the organisers. But the most important group of people to thank is the many colleagues that I've worked with over the years. It's an amazing team effort to make any medicine. And I think this is really a recognition of the great teamwork that has gone on and continues to go on at Cambridge Antibody Technology, MedImmune and AstraZeneca. So thank you to the teams. I'm allowed to say slightly more than a haiku, I think, because it's the Lifetime Achievement Award.
Most definitely.
So just sort of a few reflections. I actually started working in biologics drug discovery and development 25 years ago. And 25 years ago, there was one antibody on the market. That was OKT3 for acute transplant rejection. And it was a really challenging time. There was a lot of excitement. There was a lot of hope for antibody therapies. But there were also a lot of challenges, and I think we didn't get it right to start with. But fast forward to where we are today, and I think there's over 90 antibodies approved now. And the main thing is that they're doing a brilliant job in really helping patients with some really difficult diseases. And they're also doing very well commercially. 7 out of 10 of the top best-selling drugs are biologics. And so we really have come a long way. But it's been an interesting journey to sort of go from that one antibody approval to where we are now. It's been very high energy, it's been really intense, and it actually feels like many, many lifetimes. I think my career sort of feels like I sort of spanned a lot of different phases that we've had to go through. A few years ago in Cambridge, we actually held a conference to celebrate 20 years of the invention of phage display, which was George Smith's seminal paper back in 1989. So we had a celebration of phage display. And at that conference, I actually gave a talk entitled The 9 Lives of CAT, sort of reflecting on the lifetimes that we'd been through. So CAT was the company, Cambridge Antibody Technology, that was founded by Sir Greg Winter, who I think is, I know is a previous winner of this award, who also won the Nobel Prize for his work on directed evolution last year. And CAT was also founded by David Chiswell and John McCafferty, who I have to say were wonderful leaders and mentors and really sort of drove the development of the technology and delivering on the potential to make human antibodies as therapeutics. And the talk that I gave at that conference was all about the ups and downs that we'd been on in that journey, from really doing a lot of hard graft building the technology, but also building relationships, raising money, understanding which diseases to deploy the technology in, and also really importantly understanding how to manufacture drugs. And I think I would actually like to give huge credit to everyone in the biopharm development manufacturing side of what we do, because that is a really challenging problem, which I think we've now solved, but it was not a trivial task. So it was a bit of a roller coaster, but I think the most impactful point on that journey for many of us in the early days of CAT was when we actually met our first patient. And this was a lady, quite a young healthcare professional who'd been suffering from rheumatoid arthritis. And she was one of the first patients in the UK to take Humira. And she came to talk to us about the benefits that had given her in simple everyday tasks. So she could now open a jar of jam, she could turn on a shower, and she was planning a ski holiday, which she never ever thought that she would be able to do again. She hadn't been skiing for 10 years. And we just sat and listened to her, and I think it was a punctuation mark because it made us realize that the academic exercise of science that we'd been through could actually make a real difference to an individual. And seeing that first individual, I think, gave us a huge sense of pride and motivation, but it also gave us a real sense of responsibility, that we actually had some amazing technology in our hands and we had to make the most of that. There were many other diseases this could be deployed in, and we really needed to work with urgency. So since then, CAT became MedImmune, part of AstraZeneca, and we set some bold goals around continuing to make antibodies as therapeutics, and with our great colleagues and wonderful teamwork across AstraZeneca, we've been successful in doing that. So there are now a number of antibodies on the market for treating cancer, respiratory disease, autoimmune disease, and I know that Mene and the team at AZ will continue to develop many more biologics, and I'm very, very pleased to see the progress. So, as was said in the introduction, I'm now sort of going on a new journey. I've gone back to small biotech. I'm looking at how we can develop cell therapies, and congratulations to Mogrify for their success earlier today. And I'm also thinking about how we can use antibodies as protective agents, a new company called Alchemab. There's lots and lots of really interesting, innovative approaches, and it's been fantastic seeing some of the great innovative products that have been celebrated this evening. But we have a lot to do, and I think it's worth reflecting on what we've learnt over the past 25 years in how to do that, how to be successful. And I'd say that I've probably learned 3 things most importantly. And I think it's all about setting the right culture for our organisations as we move forward. I think the first thing is that it is all about teamwork. It's all about collaborations. It's all about partnerships. It's all about sharing information and being open with data. And we've come a long way over the 25 years I've been in this industry in doing that. We're very creative about our partnerships, our ability to share data. I was at a Dementia Discovery Forum meeting only a few weeks ago where AbbVie was announcing that they were sharing some of their Alzheimer's disease clinical data. Fantastic. So the more data sharing we can do, and not just the positive data, we need to know the negative data so that we can learn. So I think that's the first thing, collaboration and openness. I think, secondly, great medicines are only ever created by really trying to do something different and taking a risk. Innovation doesn't come through following the crowd. And I think we do have to work to make sure that we're creating the right kind of risk-safe environments for our young scientists. Give them the space, give them the time to experiment, encourage them to be entrepreneurial, support them and celebrate them for when they test hypothesis in a scientifically rigorous way, whatever the result of those experiments, because that's the way, again, that we learn. The biologics that we have on the market today are only there because we learned from a lot of those experiments that didn't make it into drugs. But they gave us that insight and they gave us that ability to succeed. And then finally, and really importantly, I think the third learning for me is that innovation is really nurtured through diversity. Diversity of thought is how you innovate and how you create new drugs. I am very proud to be the first female winner of the Lifetime Achievement Award. But I would say that diversity is not just about gender diversity. There are lots of ways we need to encourage colleagues from different career experiences, different cultural backgrounds, different styles of learning, different ways of asking questions. I used to be quite an introverted academic. I found it difficult to bring my ideas forward. We have to create environments where people feel safe to do that. They feel safe to contribute, and then we can listen and learn from each other. And I think that is actually a really important reflection. So collaboration, innovation, diversity, all great. I'm just going to end by a piece of advice that my father used to give. He was a very wise man, actually, with very simple pieces of advice. And his advice was quite hard to stick to at times, but I think impactful. It was quite simple: be generous. And he didn't mean just be generous with money, even though for a northern man he was actually very generous with his money. He meant be generous with your ideas, be generous with your time, and be generous with your support for others. Many people in this industry have been hugely generous to me throughout my career. They've given me advice, they've given me confidence, they've mentored me, they've given me opportunity, right from the early days at AZ, at CAT, at the BIA, thank you Steve, Alchemab now, Mogrify. Too many people to name, but I would really like to say a sincere thank you to everybody who's been generous to me. I hope to be generous to others. And I'd also like to thank my family for being generous in their support, enabling me to develop medicines. John, my husband's here. Thank you, John. My kids have been fantastic. And I've learnt from them as well. So finally, thank you all for all the hard work that you do to really work towards cures. It is amazing seeing the work and celebrating the wonderful things that we do in our sector. It is a privilege to work in this sector. It's a privilege to make medicines. We have to keep going back to those patients, those instances of humanity where you realize you can make a difference. Someone said very recently to me, we need to keep patients as our North Star. and I'm sure that we all will and continue to do so. So thank you all, and thank you for this award. Really appreciate it.
Do you wanna go where it's coming on color lights, where the
Oh, Jane, heartfelt and inspiring words. Thank you so much.